Hi everyone, Alex Pattle here, combat sports correspondent at The Independent, and today I'm delighted to be joined by unbeaten British heavyweight, the Romford Bull, Johnny Fisher. Johnny, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, mate. Nice to see you. Thanks for having me down.
No, an absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming in. You're only a few weeks removed from your most recent win, another knockout, keeping you unbeaten in Las Vegas. We'll come back to that, we'll come back to Vegas, because you've got a bit of a history there.
Yeah.
But I'd like to start where I start with a lot of boxers, which is at the very beginning. What was your first memory of boxing, whether it was training or just being aware of the sport?
For me, I think when I look back at my childhood, boxing's always been there. It's not something that I think of one memory, but I remember walking into Ongar ABC as a 5-6-year-old, walking in there. I remember my first ever coach, Alan Bush. He was a great guy. I remember being a bit fearful of him in a good way, like in a respectful way, like the manners that he taught me, the discipline. And that's one thing that resonates with me with boxing. Whether you go on and be a professional, whether you win titles, that don't matter. But I remember having a sense of respect for my elders, for having respect for other people around me, people from all different creeds. We all mixed in the same environment, and it was great. And yeah, that's one of the memories. Watching Rocky on video when I was young as a kid, shadow boxing in my front room. Just great memories like that from like a 5-6-year-old kid, not thinking about it in any competitive way, but just loving boxing and enjoying it. And I think that's why I've come back to it, because you always gravitate to what you love doing, and boxing's what I love.
So you're 24 now. I read that you did take a break from boxing.
Yeah.
So what age were you when you first stopped, and how old were you when you then got back into it, as you say?
So when I went to sixth form, started playing rugby for my sixth form Coopers. So I went to Marshall's Park, which was like a school in Romford, and then Coopers was known for playing rugby and well known in the area. And first game of rugby I played, I dropped the ball and smashed my hand. 4 people fell on my hand and smashed it, and I thought, oh, it's all ballooned up. But I didn't know it was broken then, because I was quite I wasn't in the loop with any injuries and stuff like that. I wasn't a professional sportsman. I was just a 15, 16-year-old boy. And so basically I just kept strapping it up, playing rugby. Done it when I went to university. I went to Exeter, thought I'd carry on my rugby there. I couldn't punch, I just couldn't feel get any sort of impact through my hand, but I could wrap it up, carry on playing rugby. And then eventually one day at university I thought, I've got to get this sorted. And I think I was 17 or 18 at the time, had an operation, then it had a little bit of a recovery time. When I was 19, started doing a bit of pads at my local gym with a good friend of mine called Zane, at my gym at Exeter. And he was actually from around my way. He was from Dagenham, I'm from Romford, and we got on really well. And just done it for a bit of fitness for rugby. And then had a couple of amateur fights at Exeter. I brought 500 people down with me to Exeter, a few of the rugby boys, a few people from Essex, and it was a great atmosphere. And I was just doing it for fun at that point, doing rugby at the same time. And then started sparring Dave Allen, Joe Joyce, who's now one of my close friends. And then it gets into Vegas. I got asked to go and spar out there. And this was all while I was still at university and COVID was just breaking out. And from there, they said, why not turn pro? It's in the middle of COVID. There's no sort of career prospects at the minute. Everyone's locked down. Let's give it a go, and now we're here.
Wow. So in a strange way, it sort of the timing ended up being perfect for you.
Yeah.
Obviously, despite it being a very difficult time. You mentioned how that sparring with Joyce took you to Vegas.
Yeah.
A lot of people will hear that you're at Exeter, you're studying history, and you get an opportunity like that. It must feel for a lot of people think that's like your world being turned upside down. How was it for you?
It was amazing. I remember I was in the library. My good friend Sam Jones, who was managing Joe Joyce at the time, he said, come on Johnny, we need you for a bit of sparring in a couple of weeks. And I thought he meant go down to Surrey where we were sparring, and thought, right, I'll come back, because it was amazing. I was sparring one of my heroes, Joe Joyce, so I'd watched in the ABAs, I'd watched him go to the Olympics, and I thought, this is amazing. And he said, oh no, we're going to Vegas. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I jumped at the opportunity. Hopefully I was on track for a first in history, and I knew I probably would have to sacrifice that a little bit, because my attention for the next few weeks would have been going on to sparring and doing that. And what happened was I'd spar, I'd train in Vegas, and then I'd do my dissertation in the evening. And then obviously COVID happened, and then the thing that really threw it off was I was starting to have to work with my dad to keep our business going, and I wouldn't get back till 1, 2 in the morning. Then I'd do a bit of training then, and then finish my dissertation at about 4, 5 in the morning. So I ended up with a 2-1, which was still great, because it gives me access to all my career paths. And I don't regret it at all, because it's the best decision I made. I'm now a professional boxer doing what I love, and hopefully after boxing, if I need to, I've got the qualifications there, and I've got good contacts through boxing now to do something after.
And do you still have an interest in history?
I love history. I love Napoleon, I love the Russian Revolution, And there's lots of stuff I still don't know, and that's what's interesting, because it's always nice finding out new things as well.
Speaking of history, talk to me about the history of Bosch and how that is sort of. You do it a lot better than me. How, you know, that's almost become a catchphrase for you, and you and your dad and your almost, I suppose, like food exploits, for lack of a better term, have become viral in a sense. How did it all come about?
Well, Bosch has always been a word that's existed in London culture. People say Bosch, and my friend Tom Skinner said it at one point. And then one day my dad was just saying it off the cuff because he started catching it, but the way he said it, we went Bosch like that. And then on TikTok one day, they was all saying, "Why are you not saying it? Why are you not saying it?" And I said, "Oh, I'll keep saying it." And then he started ordering Chineses. Well, he's always ordered Chineses, but my brother started secretly filming him without him knowing, and he was doing it, and then he was saying Bosch at the end of it, and it just caught on from there. It's a strange old story, but yeah, my dad's an enigma of his own, and he's got a massive following now. And he's going up and down the country. We're actually going to Australia next week.
I wanted to ask about that.
Yeah.
Well, what exactly is your tour of Australia? Because you're selling merch as well.
Yeah.
What is the tour of Australia going to involve?
So it's with Invades, who they do horse racing events over in England. But we're going to try and expand it over into Australia. We're starting off in Sydney, there for about a week and a half. Then we're off to Perth, but we're going to different places in between Newcastle, Canberra. So it's a little tour, but for some reason we've got our second biggest following is in Australia, and maybe it's because we resonate with that audience over there, just being normal people, you know, and loving our food, and got a lot in common with the Aussies. Although we don't like losing to them at cricket, we have got a lot in common. And looking forward to getting over there and seeing something that we'd never had the opportunity to do 2-3 years ago. So we're very grateful, and it'll be great to see some of the Aussie Bosch soldiers.
100%. Yeah. Well, but like I said, between you guys being so affable, I suppose, and Bosch taking off, and obviously your performances in the ring, you have, I was going to say you built a very large following, but as you hinted at earlier, you've always had a big following, and the number of people that came to see you just a few weeks ago in Vegas, considering, you know, like it wasn't as if you were main eventing, and a smaller venue, it seemed like the majority of people were there for you. How does it feel to have that degree of support?
It's quite humbling, really, and it's testament to the people that are around me. Where I grow up, everyone gets behind each other. It's not just me. There's a couple of other sportsmen in my local area as well. Think about my friend Freddie Potts, who's a good family friend, plays for Wickham, and just thinking about how people get behind each other, family and friends, extended family. It's great, and it extends beyond that for me as well, because where I went to university, how it helped with that is all them people like and friends I met there, they then go and spread it to their local areas as well, and that builds up around there. Obviously my dad being who he is, that helped as well. But I remember before Big John was even a thing, I was selling 2,500 tickets at the O2. So it's really great to have the support, and hopefully that's a great springboard for things to come. And the way we've done it, we haven't had any help, we've just done it organically. On social media, we just put ourselves across how we would do in a natural way. Yes, we know we make content and things, but we're not trying to be anything we're not. If people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. And we'll never try and be above our station or get arrogant. We're just normal people, and I think people can resonate with us.
100%. And I think what's also interesting is that when you've got a following like you have, both online in terms of actually that translating to ticket sales, it's very easy for I guess a fighter themselves and promoters and managers and whatnot to want to really fast track that person. But you've been doing it, you've been going quite a traditional route, you know, your southern area champion, you've got potentially down the line English, British, European, and maybe one day world titles. Are you good at sort of staying grounded, and are you happy with doing it that more traditional, steady route?
Well, it might not even be the traditional way. There might be other things that come up along the way. We'd love to do it the traditional way, but I'm also a realist and say opportunities might come up here, they might come up there. But the idea of staying grounded is all to do with the people that you have around you. And my mum and dad are a massive part of that, and they're realists, and I'm a realist as well. I know how hard heavyweight boxing is, but I know what I'm capable of at the same time, and I do believe in myself. But it's a very short career, and I might have 10 years in this game if I'm lucky. And I've got to keep all my faculties, got to keep all of my health, which is not always a guarantee in this sport, especially at heavyweight. But it's all about enjoying it. And to think 2-3 years ago, if you told me I'd be a Southern Area champion, I'd be Young Boxer of the Year, I wouldn't have believed you, because I know how hard it is to even get that. So anything from here, it's just one fight at a time. That's the whole way I've gone through it. And every test will bring something else out of me. It will develop. And I think if you look from my first fight to my 11th fight, there's been definite improvements, but there's still so much more to do. One of my good friends and advisors, Jess Harding, who was a boxer himself, He was in the top 10 in Great Britain when he fought, and was a good friend of Barry Hearn now. He said, you don't get good until you've had 20 fights. And I think in the modern world with social media, everything's sped up. Everyone wants everything straight away, which is great for us because there's more eyes on me. Maybe 20, 30 years ago, my first 10, 15 fights wouldn't have been picked up on because there's no social media. The media outlets aren't as big. But the negative of that is, with this, everyone wants everything straight away, but I've got to just put a rain check on it, and I know I'm doing the right thing because I'm getting better every time, and it's not about plateauing, it's about incremental steps, not massive steps, and that's how I want to continue going.
Well, like you said, you've got a support system that keeps you grounded as well, and you were telling me before we sat down here that you try and treat your parents, if possible, after fights.
Yeah.
And you told me you're taking them away this weekend for a trip.
Yeah, we're going to Cornwall only for a couple of nights. We love going down to Cornwall. We go every year. I remember we done it a couple of years ago. It was scorching hot, 30 degrees. We love Fistral Beach and going to the Headland Hotel. That's lovely down there. But yeah, it's nothing fancy. Going to have fish and chips and stuff like that. But it's nice just to chill out a little bit. And they do help me a lot with my tickets. My mum does all my washings, does all my merch. She does all the stuff. She actually loves doing it and enjoys doing it and helping. And if I ever say I'm going to go and do this with someone else, or I sometimes joke to her and say I'm going to take my washing to my nan and she's going to do it for me, she'll fly off the handle. So she loves doing things like that. And listen, I love that they want to help me. And will long may it continue, because the best thing to do is have people around you that you trust. And having my mum work for me, my dad helps with my tickets, my brother does my social media. I want to eventually get my little sister who's just finishing school to help with my brother and my mum do stuff like that as well. So try and keep it in house and within your family, because there's no one better that you can trust than them sort of people.
Absolutely. Johnny, thank you so much for the time.
No problem.
Really, really appreciate it, and congrats again on the recent win.
Thanks very much.
We look forward to the next one. Everybody, thank you for watching, and we'll see you for another interview soon.